going to call the meeting to order. This is the Committee of the Whole, Public Works, Environmental Services, and Facilities meeting dated July 19th, 2021. And it is 6:30. The meeting has been called to order. Could I have a mover for the approval of the agenda as presented, please? Deputy Mayor Deschamps, second. Councillor Hunter, thank you. All in favor? Carried, thank you. Okay, item number 3, disclosure of pecuniary interest and the general nature thereof.
None by me.
Hearing none, thank you. Now, business arising from the previous committee of the whole meeting, if any. Hearing none. I have none, thank you. We'll move on.
Just 1 minute. Mr.
Oh,
Chair.
okay. So, Mr. Mayor, go ahead.
I just want to check. the minutes here. Okay. Oh, I'm fine. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. We'll move on. And that will bring us to delegations and presentations. And I don't see our delegate in the gallery. She's up there. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I thought there was I thought it was in here. Okay, so Ms. Hodgkinson, our delegations we limit to, I think you're mute.
Hi, sorry, you can call me Miss Jordan if you don't mind.
Miss Jordan.
Yes, please. I understand it comes in as Miss Hodgkinson on the email, but I do go by Jordan.
Okay, thank you. Then Ms. Jordan, our delegations are limited to 10 minutes. If you can possibly do that, it would be appreciated. We do have a fairly heavy agenda tonight with a concluding closed session. So with all being said, the floor is yours.
Oh, thank you very much. So if you obviously know who I am and that I live at 16 Mary Street in Johnstown, and there's been an ongoing long-standing issue since I've moved in. And I'm really trying to gain some clarification because after 2 years, despite the cleanup intervention in May, this property is still not in compliance. There's still vegetation exceeding 20 centimeters. There's still debris all over the lawn. They still aren't mowing the lawn. I believe there is poison parsnip at the back of the property. Some of the vegetation is over 6 feet tall at the back of the property, bordering my property line. And I just don't understand why it's taking so long or what the process is going on from when I make my complaints to when an intervention happens, because I haven't seen anything happen next door. And so I wanted to speak to council directly and get some more clarification on this, because in the last 2 years, so from July 18th to July 23rd of 2020, sorry, the year prior to the cleanup, there's 9 documented times on file with the township that property owner at 18 Mary Street is aware that she has to maintain that lawn, and she has acknowledged that she will. So I'm wondering at what point this is no longer about education and seeking voluntary compliance, and what the township's plan is to step in and take care of this issue.
Now, are you forming that into question?
Yeah, I'm forming that in a question. Why isn't this taken care of, and what's the township's long-term plan? Because she's not going to comply. I think this is very obvious. So I want to know what the township plans on doing, because I have to live next to this.
All right, I will direct that question to our CEO, Mr. Grant.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Certainly, this is an ongoing item that bylaw enforcement is working towards in compliance. We've had to take some additional steps, but we continue to work with the property owner. And for the foreseeable, we will continue to do so.
Did you hear the question, Ms. Jordan?
No, I can't really hear him, and I can't really see him. I'm sorry.
Okay, well, no, you can't see him because the camera is actually not on him. Could you just repeat that a little more louder, Mr. Grant?
Certainly, Mr. Chair. So we continue to work with the property owner. We've had to take some additional steps in order to work towards to the compliance, and we will continue to work and look to find some improvements on what's already there.
So it has been addressed that the vegetation, since the initial cleanup in May, it has been addressed with the property owner that she needs to maintain her lawn.
Through the chair to Mr. Grant.
Those items have been relayed.
Thank you.
Okay. And has a notice of violation been provided to her, or has she just had conversations with bylaw?
Mr. Grant,
So through the chair, I can't discuss those details.
can you answer either affirmative or negative? No, you can't?
No, I
Okay.
can't.
Unfortunately, that answer cannot be given in public. If you would
Okay, that's fine. A private email will suffice from Mr. Grant. And my other question is there has been documentation that the bylaw officer has stated that he was going to have a county horticulturist attend the property. And I'm inquiring about that because it's obvious from where I can see on my property, there are a lot of weeds that have grown out of control. And I'm wondering if that county horticulturist is going to attend the property or if there's any plans in the future for that.
Mr. Grant,
There are plans in the works.
did you hear that, Mr.?
Yeah, I did. So from what I understand, the property owner has been told she needs to maintain her lawn. It still hasn't been done. I cannot be advised if any notice of violations or orders to comply or anything like that have been issued, and that a county horticulturist is going to attend the property. So my last question to Mr. Grant is, do you have an expected date as to when this property will be in compliance?
Mr. Grant,
Through the chair, not at this time.
thank you. Ms. Jordan, back to you.
No, I think that's all. That's just answered my questions. So I'm going to continue to email the township office and council. And should I not see any movement, I'll request to come before council again at another meeting, if that's all right with everybody.
That is your prerogative, and I see no reason why. Ms. Jordan, I'm going to ask the committee here if they have any questions of you to ask you directly now. So I'm going to start with Councillor Dillabaugh. Do you have any questions for Ms. Jordan?
I have no questions at this time. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor?
I'd like to speak last.
Thank you. I'll go down to Mr. Bush. Do you have any questions for? And Mr. Packwood?
No question.
Councillor Hunter? Deputy Mayor? And I have none at this moment. So, Mr. Mayor, the floor is yours.
So, Mr. Chairman, first of all, I want to thank the delegation for coming forward here tonight. And I want to acknowledge, first of all, that over the course of the last 2 months or so, I have received many emails from her with many pictures. And I want to acknowledge that I've received them, even though I haven't responded back to them. So that's the first thing. The second thing I want to acknowledge is that the staff did, about a month or so ago, take a major initiative and sent in a contractor who was there, I think, the better part of 1 week and then a few days the next week. But myself, I've been by this piece of property probably 3 to 4 times a week for the last month. And I have a lot of empathy for the position that the presenter is making. I find that this problem with 18 Mary Street, and I know that this is a public meeting, but I don't mind saying it. The problem with 18 Mary Street is a long-standing problem that's gone on for not just the last 2 years, but many years before that. And I really do feel that it's time that council brought this matter to a head. I commend our staff. They've been very, 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 I'm going to say, patient in working with the property owner. But I'm at the same conclusion that the delegate has just expressed. I don't think that this property owner is going to comply. So, Mr. Chair, later in the meeting, under notices of motion, and I hope you'll deal with it, I'm going to be putting a motion forward that we direct staff to send in another contractor on a weekly basis to whippersnip around the edges of that property and cut the grass. The motion is further going to say that we invoice the property owner on a weekly basis each time that it's done. And that if those invoices are not paid at the end of a 30, 60, 90-day period, that they be put onto the tax bill and the money be collected, the costs be collected as per taxes. I think that it's time that as an elected official, and I know that the staff has done as much as they can possibly do, and there's no point laying charges here at this point. We're years before we can get this stuff into the courtroom, but I think it's time that the council gave the property owner next door to 18 Mary Street some support and took some concrete action. I'll be putting the motion forward and I hope I can find a second.
Anything else, Mr. Mayor?
That's it.
Okay, thank you very much. Ms. Jordan, thank you very much. What happens now is committee will of course take this all under advisement with what you've said. And if there's anything that comes out of that, you will be notified through staff.
Thank you.
Now, you're more than welcome to stay through the meeting if you would so like to, or if you have perhaps something happening on your back deck, we can certainly understand the weather is so fine right now that you take advantage of that. But the choice is yours. You can stay online if you'd like, but thank you so much. I do appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, folks. That now brings us to our next item, which is a discussion item, and it is written up as rights of way pollinator habitat restoration. And I do know that Deputy Mayor Deschamps has been somewhat involved in this, so I'm going to call on Deputy Mayor to just give us a brief highlight.
Just one sec. You want to close my page?
Now you're going to have trouble getting back in.
Oh, good. So I was contacted by the Canadian Wildlife Federation. I'm not sure why they chose me.
They chose all of us.
Well, they chose all of us. Okay,
Yeah.
then I'm the one who forwarded it then.
Whatever. Yes.
Okay, so it doesn't show me who else got it. It only shows my name. So I brought it forward. I read through everything of what they're trying to do, looked at the application and the intakes. And I just thought, from an environmental standpoint, the loss of, meadowland flowers, the more we develop, the more we're going to develop. Here, we're certainly focusing on developing industrial lands. And I think as a counter to that, looking at some ways to create some sustainability in an environment isn't necessarily a bad way to do it. There's several bee pollinator people in our township, and supporting that through planning projects like this seemed to make some sense. So I thought, let's bring it forward, open it for discussion and see how people felt. Normally, like for me, I probably would have offered it up again at the CDC, but I think the application due date is August 6th, the way that I read it, and notice of acceptance would be August 30th, and the program to begin in October 2021. But I did notice after reading it again that there is, so if it gets pushed off today, that there is an October application date as well, 2021. With acceptance for November 19 with an anticipated start date of April 2022. So
we do have a little bit of lead time there.
There is, yeah.
All right, I'm just going to, in lieu of all that, I'm just going to go back to staff here just for a moment. Would it be possible to, or is there any need to bring this forward to the next CDC meeting, which would perhaps give all of us a little more time to digest and do some more thinking on this subject.
Through the chair, it probably would not hurt for this committee to have some discussion, and then if there is the feeling or need to have further discussion at CBC, it could certainly take place. If it's looking for further discussion at CBC, we're definitely looking at the full submission.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. So I'll start with Councillor Bilbao again. Do you have any comments on the program?
Yes, I was wondering if we shouldn't get maybe the South Nation Conservation. I'm sure they're well aware of it. But I wonder if we couldn't get them on our side there, especially with some of the wetlands that we could farm down.
I do believe
CBC.
SNC is involved in this. Are they not? Am I perhaps thinking the wrong way?
So through the chair, South Nation Conservation is aware of this program and supportive of it. It would be something that the municipality could partner with South Nation on.
Okay, and we do have a South Nation representative with us tonight. Senator.
I would like to see.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Mayor?
Well, I think the key to this is definitely whether staff feels that they can make it work. They seem to be looking for a relatively minor length of
Area.
Length of roadway to deliver this program. I would like to see us involve ourselves with it. In my mind, and I don't know, I can't understand why we would need to go to another committee if the staff is prepared to supervise and identify. I think they're looking for 7.3 kilometers or square kilometers of breeding and migratory habitat. That's what they're saying. So 7.3 square kilometers is 7.3 long and 1 wide. So it shouldn't be hard to find that much roadway. And if staff is prepared to participate and oversee, I think it should be we should just submit the application and get on. The concept is that, as I understand, to try to create habitat restoration for the pollinators. So the sooner the better, as far as I'm concerned.
More or less infallible.
Yeah.
Deputy Mayor?
Just wondering if I haven't had a chance to follow up at all with staff since this, so wondering if they've had a chance to look at roadways that might work, or place or rights of way that might work, or open meadowland that we have that could work.
So through the chair, maybe I'll ask the Director of Operations to speak with respect to maybe Groveton Road.
Through the chair. Before the spraying season started for noxious weeds in the township, just before, I received a call from a resident on Groveton Road, and she was asking if the road could somehow be bypassed for the spraying, because the vast majority of residents on the road felt that they didn't want the spraying, they didn't see the need for it, and with their dogs and stuff walking, they felt that way. I suggested to her that basically she was concerned that they didn't want to put the signs up. So for this year, since we didn't have a list of individuals to just put the signs up this year, she said there'd be like 30 signs on the road or something like that. A bit exaggerated, but kind of the general idea of the people interested. So I told her basically, well, for this year, maybe we should just go ahead and put in the signs, because there might be an individual here and there that wants some spraying done. And next year we call early and we'll look at it again and see if there's something we can do. So Groveton Road is a possibility that people would be interested. I'd asked her to, she could supply a list of names of individuals that were interested, and maybe some signatures on it. And we could look at it, and this came up, it would be a perfect solution to that. If the whole road was interested, then the whole Groveton Road could basically, you could do the road was there. Another thought would be the greenfield easement. Possibility for the greenfield easement, that we could have that done, and that would provide a fair chunk of property that could be put into flowers.
This is at the industrial park. Okay, anything else?
Nope, that's
Okay.
Thanks.
Okay, I'm just going to finish with Councillor Hunter and our two advisors. So Councillor Hunter.
I think it's probably a good program. I think we have to be very careful about where we implement it, because a lot of these so-called plants that are benefit to the pollinators and the monarch butterflies. Like I know for one, the monarch butterfly, the main one that they want planted for it is milkweed. And farmers do not like milkweed. It's a very invasive plant in the crops and requires a lot of work to get rid of once it gets established in the hayfield or anything. So I think we'd have to be very careful wherever along a roadway that we're going to put these. If we're going to put them along a roadway, any place we're not going to be able to mow the roadway either. Just spray it, not mow. So it's I think it's a catchy situation where we're going to put it. Unless we get land, like maybe if we had land available in the industrial park someplace that away from agricultural land and away from traffic. There they suggest on open road allowances. Most of our on open road allowances, a lot of them are used for the four-wheeler clubs and stuff, and you're not going to be able. Plants aren't going to survive along the four-wheelers and snowmobile trails. I know South Nation is looking at this program, and they're looking at it in some of their reforestation areas and roads and stuff. With them, maintain. So I think it's a good program. We can find places, but I think we've got to be very careful. Some of these are great for the butterflies and stuff, but that's why a lot of them have been eliminated. Not something agriculture wants. So.
Those little parachutes do get around, don't they? Mr. Packwood.
Council Hunter, pretty well said it all. You sure as heck don't want it additionally. So it's got to be on the back slopes and milkweed next to the farmer's fences. It's not going to be pretty good.
Mr. Bush.
Just wondering, is this something that can be used in our parks as well? Like the Cardinal Waterfront, there's been a lot of work done. There's a walking path. Is some of that be used for these wildflowers? Might end up being a nice feature.
Okay, point taken. Now, Deputy Mayor, did you want back in?
Yeah, I just wanted to ask John if Councilman, sorry, if he reached out to CWF and got the milkweed information, or if that was just because I didn't see anything about specific.
No, I didn't get it off their deputy mayor. It came from my daughter being involved in establishing this in Toronto, the water company established in there. Under part of the grant system we had was establishing milkweed and daisy and there's 4 species, but milkweed was the main one that wanted to establish along the area there. Where we have any place around our port that we could establish around the port area.
So then if I might, because milkweed, I did not think that might be an issue for agriculture. So I think before going further, I certainly don't want to create an issue for farmers by any stretch of the imagination. So if it would be at all possible, maybe we can reach out to Victoria Woodhouse, who is the Habitat Program Manager. She said if we have questions, I don't mind reaching out to find out what they're actually using for planting material to make sure that it actually meshes with agricultural purposes too, because I don't want to see that become an issue. I want to do the program, I think, absolutely where we can, but I don't want to create issues for agriculture community.
Okay, anything else?
Just maybe we could have that we mentioned about waterfront, or maybe we could have our recreation facility manager comment on anything about anything along the waterfront.
Mr. Spencer, question to you.
There would be definitely pros and cons to it, but I guess that would be the little council.
the area west of the volleyball court to Richards Point would be really the only area that if you were to look at doing anything would be where you put it. But it depends on how much of that green space you want to give up.
This, and that could be a problem. That's, they're not making any more green space. And this is more of a wild nature, the way I'm reading it. So to have a wild section in the park, I'm not convinced, but I'm going to go to Mr. Mayor for a moment.
Well, Mr. Chair, I think we have to go back to the intent of the program here. They're looking for these areas on rights of way.
Correct.
Along road corridors. That's what they're looking for. So I think we should forget the idea of parks and just stick to the road corridors. Now, I wasn't aware of the butter milkweed issue, but is that applicable on the growth? What'd you say, Growthton Road? Are there farmers' fields adjacent to Growthton Road? I'm not that familiar with that road.
For the chair, I believe there are in the south leg of it. Growthton Road meets up with the county road and does like 45 and comes down. The population is more up towards the county 44.
Yeah.
But the other leg is down more.
Okay, and there are other township roads as well. I mean, and I'm not sure. Does this milkweed, is it a necessary part of what they're going to plant?
We don't know yet.
Well, okay, so I think all we have to do is indicate to the people that are running the program here that we don't want to see milkweed next to farmers' fields. I mean, there's 100 other different pollinator sources that we can use here, is there not? You know, I don't know why we're building roadblocks here.
Yeah. If I may, through the chair, I believe the milkweed is the habitat that the monarchs lay their eggs and the young feed on it when they're growing. So that's probably why it may be on there.
It's actually an extremely important part of the monarch butterfly's existence, to be quite true.
So we just find locations that are environment.
Correct. All right, anything else?
So do we need you?
So if I may, through the chair, I think that the summer submission of August 6th is a little bit of a tight timeline to make sure that we get all those questions answered and select the appropriate locations. And we're probably better suited to look at the fall submission, the October 15th deadline. So.
I agree. So does staff have enough information now to proceed to look for sites that could possibly be used?
I believe we did.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, I'm going to move on.
So Mr. Chair, we have this brought back at the next 2 meetings just to get update reports. In other words, just to get update reports from staff as to suggested areas.
At the next council meeting and at the next CDC meeting.
Well, I'm thinking of the next public works meeting. And the next
Okay, and we can, I have no problem with that whatsoever. When you said the next 2 meetings, I just,
well,
the next 2 meetings.
I just don't want us to just lose track of this.
Correct. So, Mr. Grant, we can have this put on the agenda for the Public Works in August.
We will return with some locations for the August PW meeting.
Good, thank you so much. Okay, I'm moving on now, and that brings us to item 7, which is the action information items. And the first one is the second quarter fire report. Chief Moore, would you highlight this for us, please?
Certainly, Mr. Chair, thank you. We finished the second quarter with 51 calls for service, which is about average. Under fire losses, we had a couple of significant fires. The one on Center Street here in Spencerville and the fire on Winans Road. Under training courses attended, just highlight the second bullet. We finished our Firefighter 1 program on the 29th of May. And they had facilitators come in from the Ontario Fire Marshal's office. Conduct that. Under fire prevention, inspections at 3 refreshment vehicles. We haven't had a refreshment vehicle since 2015, and we got 3 this year, so that was good. 5 industrial park businesses were delivered inspection request letters, with 2 being completed so far. And under burn permits, 303 permits created, 2,202 registered burns, and our total users in the system is currently 1664.
Anything else to highlight, Chief, or can I open it up for questions?
I believe you're open. Welcome to open it up for questions.
All right, I'll start with Mr. Bush this time around.
I don't think I have any questions.
Thank you. Mr. Packwood?
No questions at this point.
Mayor. Sorry. Councillor Hunter.
Not too much of a report, I guess. We've had on the mutual aid, we had 2 that us assisting out or aid coming in.
Through the chair, that would be us providing the assistance.
Okay. Now, how many times did we have to request aid to us? Twice?
I believe only the ones probably just for the fire here in town, but it would have been from 3 different fire services.
I thought we had some linings too. Did, question was not on the report, but did our emergency vehicles have to respond to Crowder Road this week?
I guess they did. Through the chair, yes.
Yeah. Didn't know whether you were there or not, so. That's all the questions.
Sorry, what was the incident on Crowder Road?
Fire chief wants to speak to it, or?
Through the chair, we attended a medical assistance call for tier response.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Deputy Mayor?
No question.
Mr. Mayor?
Yeah, so I have a number of things. So first of all, I want to acknowledge on page 12 of 61 that that our chief was appointed as an alternate fire coordinator for the United Counties of Leeds and Grenville. So wish you good luck with that appointment. I understand that there are a couple of alternate fire coordinators, are there?
Through the chair, that's correct. Our coordinator is Chief Granahan from Leader Lakes, and Gord Howard in Aquay, and myself are the 2 alternates.
And so through the chair, can you just describe to us how the duties of the alternate fire coordinators are segregated out, or how the alternates work? Do they have sort of defined responsibilities? Through the chair, if I may.
Through the chair, we really haven't gotten that far down the path yet. As far as I know, our duties are to perform the duties of the coordinator in his absence. But we have not gotten together and delegated anything else at this time.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. If I can go on.
Go ahead.
One thing that's missing from the report, and maybe if you can just fill us in. As a council, we had several resolutions from various other municipal councils about the closure of a fire training facility. Is that Lyndhurst? Is that the one that's being closed, or the province has given notice of it being closed? I can't remember the exact location. In any case, we did, as a council, express our concern that that facility was closing. So through the chair, if I may, can you bring us up to date with where that issue is? Is there any sign that the province is either relenting on that decision, or alternatively, is there any alternative being suggested to replace it? The way I read the situation, they're hoping that the local areas will mount their own training programs as opposed to that fire college program. So if we could just have, Mr. Chair, a few updates on that issue.
Certainly, through the chair, so it was the bricks and mortar fire college in Gravenhurst
Great.
that is closed, and it closed its doors early in the pandemic, but they have since announced that it is closing permanently. The college will continue, it just will not have a bricks and mortar training facility, and their new model of training will be through online and through regional training centers throughout the province.
So through the chair, is the money that was supporting the bricks and mortar college, is it being diverted back into the local areas? Or can you tell us that?
Through the chair, I'm not aware of that.
Okay, all right. So I just wanted to ask a few questions about that. So the Gravenhurst is closed and it's not real.
That is true.
Okay. So I'll pass now, Mr. Chair. I may have a couple of other questions a little bit later on.
Sir, Councillor Dillabaugh.
Yes, thank you, Deputy Chair. Deputy Chair to the Chief, I see that our motor vehicle collision and medical is way up the first 2 quarters compared to 2020. Are they, the MBC, do they mostly on our 400 highways? If you could help me out on that one.
Through the chair, with only four calls in each quarter, I couldn't say. It's probably a good bet that at least 50% were on the highways, but I can't.
And public assistance 7 in the second quarter. What's public assistance?
So through the chair, public assistance would be anything like hydro wires down or the smell of gas or something like that, where they're tearing the fire department because the agency that's going to take care of it. It takes roughly an hour for hydro or enriched gas to show up. Send out for the patch.
And just one more, inspections of our 3 refreshment vehicles. How did they go? Was everything up to date? No problems with the 3 new ones since we didn't have any.
Through the chair, yes, there were no issues. All 3 of the facilities are very well built, and they're all, although they're new to us, I'd say the majority of them are new trucks or trailers.
And all TSSA approved. That's it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Now, Chief, I have a couple of questions. The first one is on page 13 under meetings attended. The chief and admin attended a webinar on the new MTO invoice system. Now, I'm particularly interested in that comment because, as you know, myself as well as others have contacted the Minister of Transportation on several occasions about reimbursement on this. Is there anything in this new MTO system that is going to address those issues? Or would you rather I brought that up under the MTO calls, which is coming up next?
We might as well do it now, Mr. Chair.
Go ahead.
So the system that they're talking about is just basically our invoicing system. So it
Yes.
has nothing to do with a change of policy. It's basically just how our invoices are submitted and processed.
Okay, and what difference is that going to, what difference is it going to be compared to what we're doing now?
There's really no change to us. It was just a change of process for staff.
Okay, thank you. Now I'm going to move on, and the next couple of bullet points down. Incident debrief was held to review the incident at 11 Charles Street. Now you had made mention of that, or, I'm sorry, Center Street. You had made mention of that earlier, I do believe, so you don't have to worry about that right now. And the chief attended a meeting regarding 401 construction planning. Is there something new going to be done on 401?
Yes, Mr. Chair, they're working on an environmental assessment to look at upgrades of the 401 between Maitland Road, and never became Cardinal or Kent Road. So it was just a preliminary meeting that explained the environmental assessment process at the end.
Okay, thank you. And then under training, 14 equipment/maintenance checks were completed by crews. I don't know, I just don't know how to digest that sentence. By crew, what do we mean by crews? Like our crews or the crews railway people?
That's a fair comment, Mr. Chair. We're still broken down into crews right now with our pandemic. So we've got three captains in each station that are each assigned a crew.
Okay, so it's
So they're
internal.
getting together in smaller groups with their crew on separate nights to get the apparatus maintenance.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for that explanation. Now, down under fire prevention, 5 industrial park businesses were delivered fire inspection request letters, with 2 businesses being completed to date. Now, if I understand that correctly, we send out a letter asking if we can come in and inspect the premises. Is that correct?
That is correct.
My next question then is this. Can we also do that on residential buildings? Thank you. That's all I wanted to know. And I think that's all I have. Oh, yes, there is one more on page 15. I see there's under your roster where there are several with a little R with a circle beside it. Does that mean retired or does that mean something else?
They're not registered trademarks, they are our new recruits. So when I tried to put the R in brackets, that came up. So I just
Okay, thank you, Chief. That's all I have. Any follow-up questions here? Mr. Mayor, go ahead.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Can I get back in here? So through you, Mr. Chair, back to the chief, about the MPO invoice system. Will we still be able to invoice create invoices for calls where we did not actually perform a service that we knew we would get paid for? Because we, as you know, for many years, we've tracked our calls by creating an invoice and then what invoices get paid and what ones don't. So we're still going to be able to create those invoices?
through the chair, that is correct.
Okay, all right. So
That's
that's
just a more up-to-date system with processes like we're developing in the township where we're just forwarded to get sent to me for approval. If they have any questions, all the questions are done through the portal as opposed to emailing or phone calls. Everything is done through their system.
So follow up, Mr. Chair. Go ahead. So going back now to the 5 industrial park businesses that were delivered fire inspection request letters. So obviously 2 businesses responded and they've been visited. How about the other 3? What was the response from the other 3?
Through the chair, just a point of clarification, those letters were hand delivered.
Yes.
And it's just a matter of scheduling.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So the letters are a formality.
Yes.
Okay, I understand.
We'd
Thanks.
rather be invited in.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I understand. Makes a difference once you're inside. Yeah, fair enough. Thanks very much. And I want to say, Mr. Chair, that I find this report indicating that the department is becoming very proactive in performance of prevention activity, and I just want to note that.
Councillor Hunter?
I just one more question to the chief that I missed it, going through in our fire register here, you got 30 active members in station 1 and 22 in station 2. Huge number of recruits on here. Have we stopped trying to recruit more firefighters now that we're at complement of 52 firefighters?
Through the chair, I would say there's definitely less of a priority there, but we're always going to be looking for those ideal candidates. We can be a little more selective now than maybe we were in days gone
what is the total number that you're figuring on? Because it used to be we had a maximum complement of 24 at each station, so.
I don't anticipate the number to be any higher than it is currently. In fact, I would anticipate it will reduce slightly. It can change, keep going.
Retirement's coming up.
I assume so.
Okay, anything else to follow up? Hearing none, I'm going to move on. Brings us to 7B, which is the MTO calls update. And we do have a briefing in front of us. There's no recommendation on this. It's just receive only. I do like that total approved though. 28,000 sounds good. So Chief, would you like to highlight this for us?
Certainly. Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I'll just skip right to the bottom to the table. 6 calls on the left that we did not provide services that were rejected. Total $5,860. Table to the right, we only had 3 calls where we provided a service that was approved. But as you can see, that one fire call at the top, the 24,9 certainly helped us. But we received 28,671.
Questions? Yes, I'll start with Mr. Mayor.
So thank you very much, Chief. I appreciate this report and I appreciate getting it on a sort of a first half basis. But what was our residual from 2020? Do we have that statistic, or are we pretty well wound up, know what we're going to get from 2020 and what we didn't get, and that's it?
I'm sorry, through the chair, I believe a report was provided early this year with the 2020 totals.
Okay, and that winds that down.
I
Then, does it?
think so, yeah.
Okay, fair enough. And the interesting thing here is the approved calls. It said the first one at the top of the page is 2/1/2021. So is that the 2nd of January or February the 1st?
I believe that is February 1st.
And so we're getting these approvals back fairly quickly then, are we?
Through the chair, it does vary a little bit, but I think there has been an improvement in the process.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair.
Okay, Councillor Noble.
No, I'm good.
And Deputy Mayor?
No.
Councillor Hunter?
The top one there that refers to $24,000 on 416, was that more than one incident or just one incident?
Through the chair, that was one incident. It was a truck carrying Canada Post products, not mail, but all their packaging. So it was packed right tight full of like bubble wrap envelopes and that kind of thing. We were all night trying to get that fire out.
Mr. Packwood?
No, I'm good.
And Mr. Bush? Okay, thank you. And I really have no questions for the chief. Thank you, and thank you for your service. And we move on now to 7C, which is the fire station number 2 status update. And Chief, I think you still have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So the purpose of this update is just to update committee on what has been completed with Station 2 and propose some next steps and timelines for the station. So just to quickly go through it, the timeline is there. We started in 2016 with the needs assessment by Eastern Engineering. Moved into 2018, conducted the designated substance survey of Station 2. They didn't really find anything of significance other than they suspect there's silica in the mortar and cement, which I think is in all mortar and cement. Nothing that would take any kind of a expensive remediation or anything like that. In 2020, we did the options analysis with Colburn and Kemble. I conducted the legal survey and completed the phase 1 environmental assessment. The phase 1 environmental assessment triggered the phase 2 due to the location of the property being next to the railroad tracks and the activities that have taken place in the area.
So this year we did get the phase 2 completed. Unfortunately, they found hydrocarbons in one of the groundwater samples that was taken in January. They came back in May, resampled. The totals were a little bit lower, but they were still present. That's kind of where we're at right now. The proposed next steps, 2022. So I would like to do some more wells to determine the extent of that contamination and come up with a remediation plan and do the geotechnical study. 2023, look at some engineer drawings, tender the project, and then perhaps 2024 commence construction.
Thank you. Mr. Bush,
No,
Mr. Packwood,
At this point,
Councillor Hunter,
Right now, we'll see where it ends up.
and Deputy Mayor. Mr. Mayor.
Well, you're leading us down the road. Little by little, and congratulations. I think you're finally getting us there. I am disappointed that the phase 2 found the hydrocarbons. So my question to you is this. Your plan for 2022 is additional test wells to obtain samples to determine the extent of contamination and then devise the how you'll deal with that during excavation. Is that going to be an expensive operation? Is it something that could be conducted in 2021? Not that I'm in a rush to get this project underway, but I am in a rush to kind of find out how bad the problem is. And the reason I'm saying that, Mr. Through the chair, the reason I'm saying that is that if we find out that it's a serious problem, we may have to consider another site. The sooner we realize the extent of the problem, the more we'll know whether or not the site, we have to change the site. That's why I'm just asking, is it possible to do that work in 2021?
Through the chair, I believe that was in the $5,000 to $6,000 range, is the number that St. Lawrence testing gave me. I think we have $3,000 left.
So Mr. Chair, I guess I would just put it this way, through the chair, maybe you might want to consider advancing that a little bit earlier, getting it done in 2021, so we get an idea what we're dealing with. I'll just leave that as a hanging question.
Anything else, Mr. Mayor?
No, unless the chief has got some order of magnitude for the construction. So we can start getting our head around that number.
Through the chair, I believe you've seen numbers in the past. There's a station that's just being completed in Elizabethtown in Frankville, and the pre-pandemic price for their station was, I believe, 1.85. But according to consultants, everything is up 30 to 40% now, and where it'll go in another couple of years, I mean, who knows? But I think our original prices we were provided with were fairly inflated, I guess. Safe, very safe. They were very safe.
So through the chair, the other side of that question kind of comes down this way. The county did the fire study plan, and I'm sure you're aware of it, and you know the issues that it raised. And there was a lot of discussion following the release of that report about the locations of new stations. Is that report pretty much on the shelf? Are we deviating too far from where we need to be? I mean, I understand why we're replacing this station. How does that jive with what the report was saying?
Through the chair, I believe the report only indicated a couple of locations that were close, where the stations were close together. I believe one that would come to mind would be Gananoque and Thousand Islands, where I believe they have stations that are in very close proximity, but definitely doesn't affect any of the stations at this end.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
And Councillor Wilbon?
No, I'm good. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. If there's no follow-up questions, I'm going to move on to 7D, which is the second quarter facility maintenance report. Mr. Spencer, would you care to highlight?
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Just a brief overview. WO means the work orders that we use in the citywide, and the second page is the service request. So Ingredient Center just indicating the quarterly lift inspection. PSA inspections were done on all of our properties. Minor issues at some, and other reports had no issues. Town Hall just indicating that the spring maintenance was done on the air conditioning units. The cemeteries, staff spent quite a bit of time at the Adams, Shanley, and North Channel cemeteries during the month of May, and did a substantial amount of cleanup around the property lines at the Shanley Cemetery and the North Channel Cemetery, basically right down the hydro line that was abutting the property to the Johnstown Hotel. So staff spent quite a bit of time in there doing that. The service requests are things that over and above our regular everyday operationals, as well as far as cutting grass, hanging baskets, watering the flowers, opening up the pool. So there's just a list of some of the ones that were created over the last 3 months at a variety of different facilities and different requests from some of our facilities that I maintain. So I'm open for any questions if anyone has anything.
I'm just going to ask one quickly, Mr. Spencer. I'm not sure we've seen the list of service requests before. If we have, I apologize. But I was just going over some of them. And so my understanding is one of the departments calls somebody that they need toilet paper, we'll say. So a service request is made out. Now, who makes the service request?
I do.
Okay,
Then it's handed to my staff, and my staff perform the function.
okay, and okay, that's that's fine. Councilor Bill, any questions, Mr. Spencer?
Yes, thank you, to the chair. To the chair, to the facility manager, I see the service request, you're very, very busy for sure. I have one, did we ever get the pump for the pool in Cardinal installed?
The pump,
The new,
sorry, through the chair to Councilor Bill.
yeah, to the chair, to the facility manager, our new pump that we ordered, $73,000.
Actually, that's through the chair and Councilor Bill. That's the filtration system.
Filtration system.
And no, we did not. We have not yet installed that, and it's because of COVID situations. They weren't. Had we put it in for tender, there wouldn't have been anyone that would have been able to perform the duties. So after speaking with a number of the customers that have past submitted quotes, they recommended that they wait till the fall to submit the tender, and work be done either late in the fall or early in April of 2022. Because a lot of the companies had problems getting supplies. This unit would have been one of the issues, getting that supply, that unit out of the US, which is where it is constructed.
We budgeted that for 2021 because you said that it was right on last night.
I
We needed it.
You're absolutely right.
Yeah. And, you know, I'm surprised we got some $3,000. You know, that we don't have anything, but.
Well, as I indicated, had we put the tender in, there wouldn't be anyone that would have been able to supply that unit to have it ready to go for operations in May of this year.
So you're hoping for this fall.
That's correct.
Very good, thank you. No questions here.
Mr. Mayor.
So just picking up on, so through the chair, picking up on Councilor Dilbus, we will put the tender out just to test the marketplace in the fall.
That is correct.
Okay, other than that, then it just becomes a carryover project over and.
Through the chair to the mayor, if it's able to be completed this year, then we will.
Yeah.
But again, it's supply and demand right now.
Yeah, I understand. Okay, so through the chair, So just looking at the cemetery work there, and I'll put this question to the CAO. The work at those cemeteries, Adams, Stanley, and North Channel, especially at North Channel, I know there was a fair amount, fairly ambitious project there to clear that hydro line, and we certainly heard about that from the property owner, the motel property owner. And so I'm glad to see that work has been done. But those three projects, I would suspect, were fairly expensive. Did we finance those projects from general taxation or from the cemetery funds? And the reason I ask that is because the cemetery funds are relatively limited.
Correct, and through the chair, I believe that the majority of that cost was covered through the cemetery funds themselves. But naturally, some of the staff time is not directly billed to the cemetery.
I see. Okay, so we're sort of.
If we had some additional supplies or required a contractor to come in, those type of items would be covered through cemetery.
So thanks, so through the chair, thanks very much for handling it that way, because we know that those cemetery funds are really not earning much in the way of revenue with the low interest rates, the environment that we're in right now. All cemeteries are finding the same problems. So I just want to acknowledge that work. Now I'm going to go just to some of these work orders, and I appreciate receiving these work orders and getting a kind of a feel for the degree of attention that's being given to our facilities. But there's a lot of detail here that I'm surprised that we're not catching with our own crews, that we need an outside person to come in and find, like damaged extension cords and things like that.
Which page are you on this?
Well, I'm looking at page 29 and 61 right now, where we find a broken ground pin on an extension cord and small little things like that, broken goal-like plug boxes at both ends. So a broken heater, baseboard heater is missing the cover. Do our staff not kind of watch for these kind of things and keep that kind of basic housekeeping under control? Do we really need an outsider to come in and point this kind of stuff out to us?
Through the chair to the mayor, we're involved with the Electrical Safety Association program, which basically allows us to do any of our electrical work in any of our buildings without having to draw permits. But what happens is twice a year, they come in and do inspections, and then they just earmark. So you'll see the same thing potentially that they have found in, say, 2 or 3 buildings. It's just because for that quarterly inspection for them, that's what they're going in and looking for at every spot, not just our township, but all the other spots. So we do look at our things. We do have an electrician that comes in and does repair things ongoing, but there are things that get overlooked sometimes. Having a third eye come in, some of it is very minor in nature, but sometimes it's not. But that's what we have the program for. It's kind of a catch-22. If we're not in the program, then we have to submit electrical permit for everything we do, everything, including changing just a ballast on light.
But by being in the program, we do that.
We can have electrician do it without having to develop permit. And if we're not in the program, they come in, sometimes they look for something more than what's there.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Deputy Mayor.
Yeah, thanks. Mike, through the chair to Mr. Spencer. I know it's a maintenance report, but mine's more of a general facilities question and how it relates to stage 3. So, we're allowed increased numbers, we're allowed increased capacity, if I'm not mistaken, to 2 meters, that sort of thing. Is there much change for you? Much change for the way that we're operating, or are we going to keep operating very similarly to what we do? Yeah.
through the chair to the deputy mayor. First, I'll talk about our pools to start. I don't anticipate we're going to change the numbers there. At the end of the day, it's still the social distancing and being the 2 meters apart. So in consultation, I just spoke with them last week. I indicated when we had our pools inspected in June that we probably wouldn't change our numbers even if we were allowed to. And there's only been one time at each pool that we've maxed out at 25 for public swimming. And we just let that group in for an hour. That group comes out and then the next people come in. A lot of them are the same people, but there are 2 or 3 that are waiting to get in. We've only had that at each pool once. So I don't anticipate changing our numbers for that. From the arena perspective, there will be a bit of a change there. The arena opens on the 7th of August. Last year, we were only allowing 20 patrons in per ice rental. That number is going to increase. I haven't come up with a firm number yet, but it'll be in the neighborhood of 75 to 100 people per rental that will be allowed in, which obviously that will create more work and more cleaning. And then what we would probably do, the CAO, Dave Grant and I were talking last week, for the last rentals of the night, we may increase that more. For example, the junior C's on Saturday nights are going to play their senior team, and the junior C team are going to play every Saturday night. We may allow up to 150 people then, because that'll be the last rental of the night, and they'll be able to stay in both sections of the bleachers, which will still be under the cap of 50. As far as the hall rental goes in Johnstown, a maximum of 75 people would be permitted to use that right now. And they would have to follow the protocols of social distancing and what have you inside. I've had one request for a hall rental right now, but that's it so far. So that's pretty much it. The ball diamonds and the outdoors are similar. They still have to social distance, and if they can't, even if they're sitting in the bleachers at the ballpark, if they can't social distance, they should have masks. But that's not up to us to police that at the ballparks. We're just policing that at the arena and at our pools, which have been going quite well.
So yeah, from that standpoint, being at the pools a couple times a week for swimming lessons, watching the staff do both the cleaning and the lifeguarding, they're doing a fantastic job. Well, with that in mind, from a staffing perspective, as it comes back to maintenance and increased requirements possibly for cleaning and things like that, are we in good shape for August and September with the rains?
It's been a challenge, but I think I'll have the right people.
Okay, good, thank you.
Okay. Councillor Hunter.
I haven't got too many questions about pools. I've been down there quite often. They seem to be running fairly well. When rinks open, are we going to be able to do now? Through the chair to Councillor Hunter. My plan will be, yes, that we will open the canteen this season at both arenas. The Spencer Arena, we don't plan on opening until October the 2nd, which is a Saturday. And we plan to run canteens in both rinks. The Cardinal canteen won't open until the 7th of September, which is after the Labor Day weekend. And that way, anything that's left over from the canteen out of the water can just be transferred up. And then that'll give a true indication of what the canteen revenue and expenses were for water this year. There was no other revenues or expenses to date this year for a canteen.
Anything else, Councillor? Just a follow-up question before I go on. From Mr. Mayor.
So that means that we'll get an inventory of what's being transferred from the waterfront canteen as part of the revenue and expenses. When that inventory goes across to the arena, we'll get a clean cutoff on the waterfront canteen operation revenue and expenses. Okay.
Mr. Packwood
No comment.
and Mr. Bush. Okay, gosh. I have no questions.
Yeah, sure.
Not a problem, Michael, not a problem. Yeah, okay, we're going to move on. Thank you, Mr. Spencer, and we're going to move on now to 7E, which is the second quarter operations report. And Mr. Shaw, would you care to highlight your report, please?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Section 1 for Public Works, the loose and hardtop maintenance program. 2021 gravel maintenance program is complete. Township has done approximately 26 kilometers of gravel roads. There's a attached listing that shows the roads and the amount of tonnage per road on there. For culverts, the staff installed 2 farm entrance culverts, which are 18 meters in length each. One on Weir Road and Chambers Road. 2 residential entrance culverts in the north end of Johnstown, and 5 road crossing culverts. There's locates have been issued for 3 more road crossing culverts at this time. For signage, road sign inspection by Advantage Data Collection is complete and waiting the final report. And various signs have been installed by staff. Miscellaneous street sweeping, the township hard surface roads and parking lots complete. Road spraying for noxious weeds coordinated by the county is complete. Staff will be following up with spot spraying as required. Staff completed part 2 practical of the grader training by COTEC. The brush head for the township shovel has been received by the vendor. They took the shovel out and did the first fitting on it, and expecting to get the second fitting in the next couple of weeks. Site inspections in Cardinal and Spencerville by Safe Sidewalks Canada are scheduled for this week. We have 106 service requests in this quarter, 85 complete for about 80% total. The waste disposal, 543 vehicles attended the site over 13 Saturdays in the quarter. We had a total of $4,542 in punch card sales over the quarter. Waste disposal continued. Staff are limiting public entry still at the transfer station, ensure proper social distance maintained. We had free spring, leaf, and brush drop off held in May. Approximately 400 tires removed from the transfer station by Trillium Environmental. 4 registered leaf and brush burns undertaken at the transfer site. And contract administration agreement with J2PG for the ECA preparation and submission to MECP, excuse me, accepted. For section 3, environmental services, the second quarter water treatment plant flows. There was a monthly flow minimum of about 13,000 cubic meters and the maximum of about 15,000 cubic meters. Average range from 431 low to 501 high. Water treatment operational parameters, well within specs and compliance. Microbial testing, there's 52 samples in the quarter and 0 coliform and 0 E. coli. HPC is less than 2 to 8. Industrial park, there was 13 microbiological samples and 0 coliform, 0 E. coli. Prismium chlorine, quarterly average was 1.05 and greenfield residual was 0.85 and pressure was about 71.6 psi. Windmill pumping station, total flows out. Minimum was about 48,000 and the maximum was 53,000. Greenfield had their semi-annual shutdown in May 30th to June 3rd, which skewed the minimum daily flows. Spencerville Lagoons, total flows quarter, minimum was about 3,000 meters cubed and the maximum was close to 6,000 cubic meters. Average daily flows 104 to 191. Wastewater treatment plant flows, total flows averaged, the total flows were from 13.9, so 14,000 cubic meters, and the high was in April at almost 30,000. Daily averages ran from about 1,000 in April and 463 in June, so they're coming down as would be expected. VOD, average was 3.1 in the quarter, compliance is 25, and objectives is less than 15, so we're well within our goals. For the suspended solids, our average is 3.6, compliance is 25. For phosphorus, our average 0.9, compliance is 1. And ammonia was 1.27, and that is just an objective of less than 4. E. coli, average 4.5, and our objective is less than 200 per 100 milliliters of the sample. And so the biological oxygen demand removal, the high was 96 and the low was 92. Suspended solids removal, high 95%, high 97%, low of 95%. Phosphorus removal, high of 97% removal and low of 95. Ammonia removal, low of 86 and a high of 99. Any questions?
I'll start with Mr. Bush. Do you have any questions for Mr. Shaw?
No.
And Mr. Packwood?
Not this time.
Councillor Hunter?
No.
Deputy Mayor?
No, I don't think so either. Good report.
And Mr. Mayor?
No, I just wanted to note that from the environmental services point of view, the information that we're getting on pages 51, 52, 53, and 54, those plants are operating very consistently. And so that's a good thing to see and to know. The waste disposal site, I'm surprised, 543 vehicles over 13 Saturdays. The sites are quite busy and well kept, I must say. It's nice to see that we're keeping them clean. I'm surprised at the punch card sales. $4,500 is not to be sneezed at. And I note that a lot of that is at Virtual's Hardware in Cardinal, $4,000. They seem to be certainly the preferred point of buying punch cards. I guess because they're open on Saturday morning. Is that what's happening?
So through the chair, I would say so. It's typically you wake up on a Saturday morning.
I don't have a card.
Oh, I don't have a card and I want to make a trip.
So that's good. So actually a very good report. Thanks very much.
Councillor Noble?
Thank you, Gord. Well done. I just have a couple in the waste disposal. Those 400 tires, are they moved now? I know the 15th of last week. Today's only the 9th.
The 400 was removed. Unfortunately, Trillium didn't show up for the second load, and I called them today and waiting for the call back.
And how many more do we have there?
Probably 1 or 2 more.
Of 400 of each? Is that, so we had about 1,200 there?
Close. I wouldn't say 1,200.
12,000?
Yeah.
Jeepers. When can we get them? Can we get them a little earlier to get those tires? Do we have to wait until we get the 400,000?
Sorry, through the chair, we called them previously and they didn't get that date either. So I'm assuming that they're backlogged on their trip. So I haven't been able to talk to them yet for this last round, but I'll be following up.
Now, through the chair, to George, whereabouts is Trillium Station?
I think it's an Ottawa.
I just like to keep that clean as much as we can, you know, with those tires. But I know you do. It's well kept, but you know what happened. Those tires do concern me a lot. At the waste disposal. Job well done. Thank you so much.
Through the chair, one of the reasons why there was so many at the Scott site also was because we do have the boneyard does collect them for us, and we get any of the credits from the ministry for them, and they brought them so we could get them loaded at one spot. Well, so that was part.
Oh, well, that's okay. They're sitting, these are gone. Thank you so much.
Any follow-up questions? I have no questions, Mr. Shaw. Thank you so much. Yes, you can.
Just through the chair. One of the things that I've learned is that vines coming up the side of fences can really bring your fences down over a period of time. So I'm talking about the fence around the two sides of the Scott Road site. And I know that the guys are busy, but is there any way that we've got students or somebody that can take those vines down off those fences and clear those fences back 3 or 4 feet on either side? Because they are becoming rather heavily covered with vegetation, just pulls them apart. The acid from the grasses is really hard on them. So, and it's unsightly as well. So, just a request.
Anything else?
No.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Shaw. We're going to move on now, and we come to 7F, which is the Connell Road culvert cured in place. Another word for Node 8 liner project. You have a briefing note in front of you, and there is a recommendation here. So Gord, would you like to highlight what's happening here?
Certainly, thank you, Mr. Chair. The purpose of this action item is to receive direction from council to proceed with the curative lining of the culvert under Connell Road. The drainage culvert crossing under Connell Road at the intersection of Adams Road and the Hamlet of Ventnor was identified by staff as in need of maintenance and replacement. Due to the proximity of the culvert in relation to the garage at 7241 Connell Road, it was determined that a cured in place pipe would be the best means of remediation. There was no easement for approximately 27 meters from the edge of Connell Road to the entrance of the culvert. An easement agreement authorized by the council bylaw 2021-21 to allow access to the private property was executed between the owners and the township. The agreement was finalized on April 27, 2021. The culvert was closed circuit television inspected, and a tender developed and issued based on the CPD inspection and plan drawings available. The tender was sent to 3 contractors, Clean Waterworks, Form, and Aquadrain. Policy implications: expenditures in excess of approved budget required the approval of council. Council may choose to draw from reserves or choose a combination of reserve and maintenance. Financial considerations: CWW was the only respondent with a quote of $72,200. Budget of $45,000 was allocated in the 2021 budget for this project, being an estimated $27,000 budget. Storm Sewer Reserve 01-3525 has a current balance of $149,499. That could be used to cover the unbudgeted portion. Recommendation that committee recommend that council authorize staff to award the project to CWW for a sum of $72,000 plus not rebated HST cover the estimated $27,000 unbudgeted portion of the storm sewer reserves and authorize direct operations to execute the necessary documents.
Okay, questions or concerns? I'll start with Councilor Wilbon.
No.
Mr. Mayor.
Prepared to move the motion.
Second it.
We have a mover and we have a seconder. I'll get back to that. I'll just go through Deputy Mayor, Councilor Hunter, Mr. Packwood, Mr. Bush. All right, we have a mover, we have a seconder, and I'm going to call the question. All in favor?
Aye.
And it's carried. Thank you. And we're going to move on now to 7G, which is SNC, use of unopened road allowance for forest operations. There is also a recommendation with this, and you've had a chance to read the briefing note, but I do believe CIO, would you like to highlight anything on the briefing note?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I guess just briefly, with respect to the memorandum, I think that was provided by Safe Nation on June 30th. Sort of it explains out the harvest operations. And, that it needs to be completed by March of 2023. I don't anticipate a long, extensive agreement being required, just the basics with respect to if those logging trucks are using that road, that they'll maintain it to at least the standard that it's at this particular stage.
And will we be policing that particular item?
It certainly will be something that is monitored, and I anticipate that if there's any reduction in the level of service of that road, we will certainly be made aware of.
Thank you. Okay, any questions or concerns? Councillor Hunter.
I don't have a question or concern, just a comment on this certification. While this logging operation is underway, certification does have employee on site that will be monitoring this during the harvest. It's over a 2-year period. I expect it to be done in a shorter time than that. Company, it would double up, put out once the tender, and when there was no tender received on it, it had to be re-tendered for the company to come back in. They had submitted a tender to it, but they, in the first round, but their tender was late coming in. And advised that they had to, board of directors advised them to not accept it and be re-tendered because it was late. They were the only tender to come back in again. I guess for sake of openness, it's best to do it that way. It did cost circulation a little bit of money because tender money come back in the next time we was aware that probably the only tender. The price dropped a little bit, not considerably, but it did cost a little bit of money by, I guess, saying they did the right thing. So, but he is a reputable contractor. He dealt with circulation before in harvesting. So, we expect it to go well. Pleased to see that our staff did go through and ask for the road agreement. But I know there is never a logging company in there that is logging and using that road to draw timber down, but I don't think we have any request for them to use the road. The road being maintained by a farmer. So.
Thank you. Anything else? Mr. Mayor.
So through the chair to the councillor, what's the location here? What road is this?
It's off Pittdale Road, the road that
Oh, Pittdale Road East.
yeah, the North Arm maintains it there to get in their fields and stuff there.
So I saw that.
Runs
That
on
just stuck in my mind.
100-acre lot circulation owns up on the north side.
So what is the arrangement? The operator from Perth, they pay $22,000. They get to keep the wood, right?
Yeah, that's,
Do they operate a sawmill or something?
I'm not sure what to do. Some must be a sawmill because they sell it to a mill. I think they do. I don't think they operate a mill. I think they sell it to Renfrew lumber mill up there. I think that they sell it too. There's a portion of that is log, sawmill log. The portion of it is wood. That's coming out of there. It'll be pre-marked by certification or pre-marked all the trees that they want to take in.
The reason I asked the question, Mr. Chairman, is because, as you know, we have just down the road from us here, Malcolm Sawmill, which is a new startup, a big investment in our township, over $3 million invested. And I had a meeting with Mr. Malcolmson, and one of the things that he's having trouble doing is sourcing wood. And that's why I was asking, should he be approaching this contractor to see if he could buy this wood, or does this contractor already have a sale?
I imagine he likes to have it pretty stable. He buys all the time.
He does.
He has a place that he supplies it to.
So this is selective harvesting where they take out about a third of the trees.
Well, they're taking out a lot of forget how many years they said they owned this property. That's the first time they're actually doing a clearing on it and bringing it up to level that they want to see the path. We'll have it
Want to
For the healthy.
thinned and clean. There's a lot of damaged trees in there that's been there for years after they bought it. Never been cleaned up since they started in '98.
Oh, okay.
Still a lot of dead stuff in there that's just got to knock down and bugs. Major project.
Thanks very much, Mr. Chair.
Anyone else have concerns or questions regarding this? Okay, I'm looking for a member for the recommendation. Councillor Hunter and my seconder, Deputy Mayor Deschamps, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Carried, thank you. And that moves us to 7H, which is the Cardinal Waterfront paving additional work. Mr. CAO, would you like to highlight the item?
Certainly, thank you, Mr. Chair. At the July 12th event finance meeting, it was asked the staff to investigate some pricing on removing some of the asphalt down around the lower end of Legion Way and some parking lots around the Legion and the water treatment plant. So we sort of done a quick estimate on the GIS system of the square meters, and based on sort of the conservative estimate of what our pricing has been either through the hot mix paving contract or the waterfront paving pathway. We've sort of looked at that work could be completed through a sort of a change order for one of those two contracts, and we're probably looking at an upset limit of $155,000 to complete. And there's sort of two options: either the utilization of modernization funding, which there's about pretty much 287,000 remaining as uncommitted in that fund, or there's the one-time 2021 top up of the federal gas tax fund at about 217,000. So the recommendation before you is to authorize an upset limit of 155,000 to cover the cost through the modernization fund. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Grant. Okay, Councillor Dillabaugh, any questions or concerns here?
Yeah, I have a couple concern that we're not going all the way down to the boat launch and the parking area. And the emails we're getting from Mr. Mayor, I disagree that we should be parking them on vehicles on that road on the grass. We should be moving the grass and putting stone and stone dust down there. So I like to see it all. I don't like to see it coming out of one modernization fund, the gas tax fund. That's fine. I'm just wondering how much it would be going from 0.87 right down to. No, I'm asking maybe a little much, but what it would cost all the way down to do that parking lot where the boats are.
The rest of the driveway as well as the parking lot?
That's right. Or we wait till 2022, but the money's there, not too bad. They're down there anyway. So I'd like to see it all done, not just half done.
Thank you. Mr. Mayor?
Well, first of all, I'd like to apologize to the CAO. When I first read the map, I misread the map. I thought we were going to be at the boat ramp, and I see now that it terminates in front of the water treatment plant, and that little pavement, that crosshatch section is on the west side of the water treatment plant.
That is correct.
And I misread it, and I took the water treatment plant to be the boat ramp, so the boat parking area. So I guess my concern is I would like to, I kind of agree with Councillor Dill, I would like to see us extended as far as the boat ramp and actually do the existing parking gravel, cover the existing gravelled area with pavement. I don't want to see us take up any more grass. It doesn't happen very often that boats, the boat trailers outnumber maybe 4 or 5 times a year, the boat trailers outnumber the parking spaces in the trailer parking lot. But, you know, we've got an upset limit on this of 155,000. And, you know, I kind of feel that a half is better than nothing. And I really do like the way we've captured all of Legion Way, and we've done a full and complete job at the east side of the Legion building. We've got that cleaned up. So I guess my only other comment is that I don't want to lose the modernization money either. I'd rather see it come out of the gas tax fund for the 155 and get it done this year, and have another look at the trailer parking lot next year. So I would like to see that change in the recommendation, cover the cost through the gas tax fund.
Option 2, Mr. Mayor.
Well, it's option 2, yeah, and then so the recommendation would read that committee recommends the council authorize the CAO to proceed with additional paving at the waterfront under one of the existing current contracts to an offset limit of 155 and cover the cost through federal gas tax fund. That would be my preference.
Anything else?
That's it.
Deputy Mayor.
Yes, thank you. Through the chair of the CAO, through as an extension of one of the contracts. So is that thinking that we would get a better price than if we tendered it out new for that area?
So through the chair, I would say that if we ended up getting the pricing extended on both of those, they are both very good pricing right now. With it being over the 50,000, we would have to go through the full tender process. And best case scenario, we're looking at well into September before that could get awarded, and unlikely that it would be completed this year. My read, at least from the discussion at the Human Finance, was, you know, to have that work done as soon as possible this year. So,
echoing both the mayor and Councillor Dillabaugh, I certainly think the gas tax dollars are the appropriate dollars to do this. And while the parking lot, you know, maybe that's a good idea to wait on the parking lot, but there certainly is some areas around the launch that need, you know, a lot of work. And the roadway, I know it's the piece that's been identified, but if there was any way to stretch that gas tax money a little bit further down there and get the rest of the launch done, not the parking lot, but the launch done, I'd certainly like to see that done as well.
Thank you. Anything else?
Not right now.
Councillor Hunter?
Project just is put forward where we didn't budget for this in the first. I'm the one that brought it up because mainly I've been down there a number of times and the amount of potholes and stuff that's in the pavement there. I think the pavement really needed to be replaced to start extending it farther than where the pavement is there now. You're getting into a major dollar work. Where the pavement is there now, I guess from experience of driving over and looking at it, the base is probably very good there. There's not too awful much work once the pavement's ground off and done. Once you extend it down there over the rest of that gravel, there's a lot of sub work that's going to be done there. That pavement's not going to stand up. So I'd sooner see it last, just do the paved area we've got. I don't agree that it should come out of the gas tax. I think the modernization fund, where it should come out, was to improve services to the community and stuff that we did for this gas tax. Remain basically give to us to repair roads. This isn't a road. This is a recreational park here on the road area. So I think it should come out of the modernization fund. We got the money there. And we got any big foreseeable things in the future unless CAO has something or clerk that we're looking at to use this modernization fund on right away. So I like the proposition that it's put forward. My position.
Just for
I'd just like to go to Mr. Packwood first. I'll come back to you.
For being down there so many times, it's gonna make a big difference having that all cleaned up. It's a real jewel in the township. And Councilor Hunter's right about this, the area that we got, because we don't know what's underneath the rest.
Gas tax or modernization.
Modernization.
Mr. Bush.
I guess I'd have to agree with Councilor Hunter. Yeah, we don't want to get into a bigger project than we need to, I think. As for the gas tax and the modernization, I don't know, is the gas tax something we can use for that street in Johnson, or we talked about last month? Very true.
Anything's possible.
Okay, all right, well, then I would say the modernization may fit better for this project.
Deputy Mayor.
So, I think maybe I'm confused then. When I asked to consider going a little further, I'm not talking about gravel areas. I'm talking about paved areas that aren't included. Pavement doesn't end, unless I'm confused, it doesn't end at the end of the water treatment facility. It goes all the way to the boat launch. So, and this area of suggested paving ends at the end of the water treatment facility. So what I'm suggesting is adding that stretch that is paved to the boat launch, but not parking lot at the. And one comment, if I may, when it comes to modernization dollars were provided to us. Yes, they can be used for capital improvements, but the idea behind modernization dollars were to help us as a township become more efficient in our ways of spending, ultimately to save us dollars, because we're going to see reductions in our OMPF funding. And I'm not really sure how this use of modernization dollars is going to save us any money in terms of reducing long-term OMPF dollars.
Anything else?
Just through the chair.
I'm assuming.
No, I'm good.
Karen's finished. Go ahead, sure.
So, I mean, we're starting to get two issues on the floor here, and the reason I'm happy to see it end where the map shows it ending is because I know that's where the majority of the potholes end. The deputy mayor is right, the pavement does extend a little bit farther along towards the trailer parking area, but the majority of the potholes are covered in the project that's in front of us. So that pavement still, that other little bit of pavement still got some life left in it.
And you're absolutely correct, Mr. Mayor, that it's not from where it ends down to the boat ramp, it's not really that bad.
So I'm still looking to use the gas tax, 155 gas tax money, but and someone has already brought up the idea is, can this gas tax money be used on the Mary Street project that we have, Mary Street and Sophia Street project that we had an input from last week or 2 weeks ago. So yes, we know that gas tax money can be used there, but we're only using 155 of it here. So I'm still looking to use that.
Okay.
Gas tax money can also be used in the Spencerville project as well.
All right. Hearing no other concerns, we do have a recommendation. I'm just going to say that I also favor the gas tax money myself. So if we're going to swing on that, we've got four gas tax and 3 for modernization. So there we go. Could I have a mover for the recommendation, please? Well, just going, the recommendation, I believe we'll have to read different to what it is, and it'll have to say through the gas tax fund.
Scratch modernization.
Scratch modernization and add gas tax. And I'm just going to consult the staff. Is that appropriate, that wording? Thank you, clerk. I appreciate that. Okay, so we've discussed the recommendation. We've discussed the gas tax. Could I have a mover, please? I would have a mover with Deputy Mayor, a seconder, and Councillor Dilbaugh. I'm going to call the question. All in favor? Aye. So it's carried. Thank you. All right. So we're now finished with item 7, which is the action on information items. We're moving on now to council inquiries, notices of motion. And I know I have 2 at this end of the table, so I'll start at the other end of the table just to clear the way. Mr. Bush.
No.
Mr. Packwood.
No issues.
Councillor Hunter.
I have one inquiry now. We passed a new pavement down there, either through usual operation manager or recreation facility managers, which everyone's going to look after. I assume that there's going to be some of our own staff did maple tree that's adjacent to the parking lot. When are we going to get it down? I don't want to see it still standing there after the pavement. So
That would be to either operations or recreation.
It will be removed before the paving starts.
you go and take the stump out at the same time.
That may make a nice planter, Councillor Hunter.
We had one removed last year, and it was almost $5,000. Take it down.
I think the plan will be to grind it down.
To level.
Just as long as my main query was not as much whether there's going to be a stump left, as we're going to take it out. I wanted to take it out before the pavement there. Take it out, we're going to break the pavement. So
Okay, point taken.
No.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, I have something to come forward.
I'll move to Councillor Dilbaugh and then we'll get you next. Councillor Dilbaugh.
Thank you, to the chair. The last couple of weeks, I said I'd be making a motion for the recreation vehicles to be used. With the help of our clerk, Rebecca, and our economic officer, Wendy, I may be withdrawing that motion. I've been around with all my what they put on their website, recreation vehicles. People who were emailing me, I went and saw them personally. I haven't seen them all, but the response is very good where it says in our section, where can I use the recreation vehicle? And at the end, it says in preparing this draft zoning bylaw, the township does not intend to restrict this type of use. Once I highlighted that, showed these people a big relief. So I'm not completely done, but the way it's looking, I'll be drawing my motion at the CBC meeting, keep going the way it is.
Thank you, Councillor. Mr. Mayor, the floor is yours.
Okay, so Mr. Chair, I'm going to put a motion forward here. Apologize, I'm too busy today to get this done up ahead of time. So I'm going to ask if the deputy clerk or the clerk would just take a photocopy of this and pass it around. I'm going to read it. I'm looking for a seconder. And the motion is going to be as follows. The staff be directed to send the yards cleanup contractor to 18 Mary Street this week with instructions to whipper-snipper cut the long grasses on the property boundary and cut the grass, remove the debris, and perform a general cleanup of the property on a weekly basis if the property owner fails to do so, and that the township invoice the property owner weekly for costs incurred and charges be directed to the tax account in the event of failure to pay. Looking for a seconder. I wonder if the deputy clerk would just take a photocopy of this, and put it in front of everybody in case it gets modified.
Second for
And Mr. Chair, while we're waiting for that, I was wondering if I could go back to just one question with regard to the paving. Go ahead. Was there any questions directed to the successful paving contractors to see whether they were interested in the additional work? The reason I'm asking that is because we will know our unit cost, our per square foot or per square meter unit cost. I'm just wondering if there was questions to them about whether they're interested in additional work.
Chair?
So through the chair, both have had at least that potential has been talked about. We haven't done anything too formal, awaiting committee and council direction.
Do we, Mr. Chair, to the clerk and to the CEO, before we go further, do we have secondary yet?
Yes.
Just like an official one, because I want to ask a question before, so just point of order. If we have a seconder, it doesn't matter.
We do have a second. Thank you.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Mr. CIO, go ahead.
I would caution the committee on voting on this tonight.
Would you prefer this came to another meeting?
Well, I think that would be a little more appropriate. But I think it's a dangerous direction.
Mr. Chair, I don't know what to do here. I mean, I don't see any other way of getting some attention here. I think the staff has been more than patient with the property owner at 18 Mary Street. And I think the neighbor has been more than patient. And I commend them for their patience, I really do. But it just seems to me that we cannot allow this to continue. We have to assert the fact that we have a yards bylaw, and the intention of that yards bylaw is so that everybody can enjoy their property. How can this neighbor be expected to enjoy their property with this next door? I wouldn't want it next door to me, I can tell you that right now. So, I mean, I don't know of another mechanism to use here. I'd like to see this brought to a head, and I mean, I think we should thank the staff for all that they've done, but I think it's time to move forward here.
Comment, Mr.
Right, yeah, and I agree wholeheartedly with what the mayor said, and I think from a getting something moving forward standpoint, following our rules the best that we can is excellent. I think though, under our own procedural bylaws, we need to follow our own procedural bylaws at the table, and I think it would be appropriate if it was discussed in full at the council meeting, and then move forward then, not as a I mean, a notice of motion is a notice of motion will be coming forward at the next committee or next council meeting, unless it's an emergency, which I suppose maybe maybe that's what the mayor means, is that, we've gone on long enough and this is actually an emergency. I don't necessarily see it as an emergency. I think following your own rules is super important, although council has indulged me before on similar matters for sure as well. But I think for this one, I think having a full discussion about it on council and moving a recommendation forward with a little bit more preparation. With respect to Ms. Jordan on her property, I certainly wouldn't want to be in your position either. Ms. Jordan, we've talked, you know how I feel. But I really think following our own rules and guidelines, as we set out at the table, is just as appropriate for us. And let's have a great discussion on it next week and get Ms. Jordan some resolution.
Councilor Hunter?
I agree with our deputy mayor. I think we got to follow the own procedure by that.
I'm getting a nodding of heads at the far end of the table.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm just not, I'm not sure what the legality is. Can we tell someone to trespass on their property and then charge them for it?
Of course. Mr. Chairman?
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
It is?
To start with, I think our procedural bylaw is broad enough that this motion could be dealt with tonight. But if there's a higher comfort level with staff and council to see this delayed a week, with, I know that the neighbor has put up with this for a long period of time. I don't think another week is going to make that much difference. I think that the main thing is that we're sending a message here that we will do something. And so I'm not going to call for a reading of the procedural bylaw here. I won't do that. But it has to be dealt with. 1 week, bring it to council. Okay, fair enough. And I understand everybody's concern. I mean, theoretically, we deal only with emergency issues, but I'm sure in the view of the presenter here tonight, this is becoming an emergency.
There's a nodding of head. Councilor Edelman?
Thank you, and I just want to make it very, very clear. I have to give Chair 100% credit for coming here tonight. But when it says, it's just not her, it's not a neighbor, it's neighbors and surrounding. And I'm sorry, it's just not Chair here. So let's put that aside. This has been going on for 20 years or whatever. And I live just down the road from it. And I have people come up to me that walk around there and say, hey, what's going on? So this isn't just about a neighbor, it's neighbors. If you want to go for another week, fine. But boys, you want to have a real good session next week, because something's got to be done. Enough is enough, I'm sorry. And we work hard. And I give staff and I give the CEO 100% credit. I have to admit, we may not be doing giant steps. We may only be doing baby steps, but we were doing steps. Now I see everything. I go by twice a day. 5 days, 6 days a week. So, and I don't see a lot of times. I'll go for 1 week. I'm not going.
I think the consensus around the table with what I'm seeing is 1 week is the preferred option, if I can say it that way.
I think you've got a motion that's been moved and seconded.
I think yes, you do have a motion that's on the table. It's been moved and seconded. If there's a will to defer it a week, somebody should put a motion forward to defer, not deal with it. You can say, because it's,
Why don't we just vote on it? If it's defeated, it'll be deferred.
No, it's not. It's defeated.
Okay.
Defeated, it can't come back.
All right.
No, and we don't want to defeat it. I don't.
I
don't want to
motion we
just
defer
want to follow the
defer it
rules.
till
Next week.
council meeting on
the motion to defer can say it would be more appropriately dealt with at the council level, and some words to that effect.
yeah, I make a motion to defer it to the council meeting on July the 26th for further discussion.
July 26th?
I'll second.
I have a mover, I have a seconder. Okay, I got two movers and I got two seconders.
No, you got one motion on the floor and that's the motion to defer.
Motion to defer.
For override.
Okay, I'm gonna call the question. All in favor? It's carried.
Okay,
So it's on the agenda for next week, staff, that is correct? And Ms. Jordan, you may want to tune in.
I'll be away on holidays and I won't have access to the internet, but it still doesn't fix the issue that there's wild parsnip and ticks on my property line because of the neighbor's non-compliance spanning over 25 years. So what's going to happen this week? Something needs to be done this week. I am getting tick bites and there's wild parsnip on my property line. So I want to know when this is going to be fixed.
Well,
I've been enough, like 2 years. Come on, 2 years.
I was under the impression with your own comments that it was suspected wild parsnip was there.
Well, that's by me looking at it. I'm not a county horticulturist. I'm a nurse. I looked at pictures and went, that's wild parsnip and that's a risk. Somebody needs to intervene. And there's ticks. I've had ticks on me. I can clean my entire property. And the minute I go near that property line, I've got ticks swarming me. It's a public health hazard. It's an emergency. I sent a letter to the DAO. I've expressed it. We're in a heated tick zone. Ticks are increasing every year. I don't want to get sick by any means. I've treated people with this disease. This is a serious issue. This can't be continually deferred or waited. This is an issue. It needs to be dealt with. That lawn needs to be mowed and it needs to be done next week. Jolene has been told for 2 years to get it done, documented. I have the paperwork. What's happening? It needs to be done this week.
Thank you, Ms. Jordan. Your comments are recorded. There's no question about that. This will be dealt with at our council meeting next Monday night. And that's where it stands right now.
Okay, so just so I'm clear, nothing's happening this week and that mess is still continuing next door?
I
It was in the hands of staff still.
just a moment. I'm going to defer that question to staff because I don't know what is under their work this week. So I will ask Mr. Grant.
Through the chair, no comment.
Thank you. That's,
Yep, typical. Thanks.
thank you. Okay, any other councilor inquiries or notices of motion? Hearing none, I'm going to move on, and it's now the mayor's report.
No report tonight, Mr. Chairman.
No report.
Something went wrong. Please try again.
Uh-oh. All right, we're going to move on to question period. There's no one in the gallery. Hearing none, seeing none. Okay, we're going to move on. Now, we do have a closed session and it is now time for closed session. Do I need a mover to go into closed session?
You do?
And who has that? Okay,
Move myself, second by Deputy Mayor Deschamps. The committee proceeds in closed session at 8:33 in order to address a matter pertaining to section 239 2B, personal matters about an identified individual, including municipal or local board employees, specifically public works, and minutes of closed session dated April 19th, 2021 and June 21st, 2021.
sir, thank you. Thank you. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, and we will take a,
Move myself, second by Deputy Mayor Deschamps. Closed meeting or committee does now adjourn and open meeting does now resume at 9:36 p.m.
Counselor?
thank you. Okay, we're in open session again, and we were in closed session.
Did we call the vote on
Oh,
what?
I'm sorry. We're getting up. All in favor?
Aye.
We're now in we're now in open session. And we were in a closed session to deal with, when do we deal with the minutes? When we come out?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. To deal with section 239/2/B, personal matters of an identical individual, including a municipal board or local employees, specifically public works. And the minutes of closed session dated April 19th and 21st.
Moved by myself and seconded by Mayor Sayad, that the committee received and approved closed session minutes dated April 19th, 2021 and June 21st, 2021.
And the minutes were in your package. You had a chance to review them. Any comments? Okay. Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
That's carried. Thank you. Okay, that leads us now to,
Your report? Did you report?
yes, it did. Yes,
Okay, so then I have adjournment, if it's adjournment.
it is.
Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor John Hunter, that committee does now adjourn at 9:38 p.m.
All in favor?
Aye.
Oh, sorry, sorry.
Got it.
And we're adjourned.